Okay, I gotta be straight up with y'all. Right now, at this moment in time, I hate Indian motorcycles. Today I'm gonna tell you why. Because just picture this Harley Davidson on its heels, new CEO, new strategies, trying to overcome one of the toughest periods that they've had in a really long time, and you, America's very first motorcycle company ever, has the chance to finally get out of Harley Davidson's shadow and you drop in new paint. That's what we're going to look at today. Is we're going to talk about Indian's 2026 motorcycle reveal, what they did good, but what they also lacked on. And of course, I'm just going to give you my opinion and I want to hear yours. Was there something you were expecting from Indian that you didn't see coming, or did this just kind of leave you flabbergasted, kind of like I was? I don't know. Whatever your opinion is, leave that down below. Let's go and get into it. But before we do that, I want to take a look at 2025 and Indian strategy there. Because what they did is they cleaned up the touring lineup significantly by bringing the Power Plus to the Chieftain lineup. This is a great move. I mean, the Thunderstroke was fine and all, but it was just kind of still dragging along behind the Power Plus when it came to torque and horsepower and just a modern innovation, I guess. So bringing it over to the Chieftain I thought was a great move. They introduced the 112 Power Plus along with the 108, giving customers, right, multiple options there. If you wanted to save about, I think it was like a $3,000 markup, then you could still go with the 108, which is a perfectly fine motor. Then they introduced some cool safety features that I thought were really innovative, like the blind spot monitoring. You know, if you had somebody coming up on you too fast, it would alert you in the screen. Kind of had like this, I call it the high alert effect. If you're a gamer or play Call of Duty at all, then you know what I'm talking about, where it would kind of flash, you know, yellow or down at the bottom, right? It would give you that signal, hey, somebody's riding up way too close to you. You may want to, you know, pay attention to that. Pretty seamless integration. It didn't look ugly, just a simple little module on the back of the motorcycle. Pretty cool, innovative text, and that's something Indian has been very good at in staying ahead of Harley Davidson all the way up until 2024. But the things I was expecting in 2026 were like going to be groundbreaking. Now, to be totally fair, they could in January release their new motorcycle or a new model or something and surprise everybody. But as far as what we have right now, this is what 2026 looks like. The Sports Scout RT. So this is going to be a bike that's going to kind of bridge the gap between what you'll find in the Scout 60, which is, I don't know, 85 or, yeah, I think it's about 85 horsepower. And then the Scout 101, which was a new release, I think it was last year as well, which is a really cool motorcycle. But it's still inside the Scout family. So the Sports Scout RT will largely follow what their Sport Chief did. So it's going to give you the quarter fairing, it's going to give you the 19-inch front wheel, and it's going to give you smaller lockable hard storage bags. Okay, so these are going to hold about 10 gallons. And I think what you have on the like Challengers and the Chieftains is about 30 gallons of storage. So it's going to be about a third of the size, but to fit with the overall aesthetics, I think it actually looks pretty good. It's functional. It's not leather, right? It's not going to deform, and you have hard locking bags. So that's really a cool thing. It has the same 1250 engine that the 101 has. It actually, interestingly enough, it has the same compression ratio, same bore stroke, all of that. But they were able to eke out like 111 horsepower in the 101 compared to 105 in the Sports Scout RT. We have some new paint and graphic schemes and some new stuff coming to the accessory catalog as well. But as far as 2026 goes, that's pretty much it. Now here's what I was expecting first and foremost though. Take the baggers and do a fresh redesign. Yes, the Challenger still looks really good. I feel like there's some room in that motorcycle. It almost looks like too cramped to me, right? The fairing is you know, compared to now Harley Davidson, right, which that is going to be the standard, right? As long as Indian keeps playing catch up, it's really just going to continue to be the standard. But regardless, right, getting rid of the motorized windshield I think would be a good move. Trimming some of the fat around it, right? Tightening up the tank, giving a little more space for the bike to breathe. I don't know if you guys get the same aesthetic appeal that I do, where I think it looks good, but then it almost looks like there's just too much going on. Where in Harley Davidson specifically in the engine, there's a little bit of air. There's a little bit of room for everything to breathe and flow together, where I think everything just kind of crammed in both the Chieftain and the Challenger. Also, bringing the performance bagger look like the 2024, 2025, and now 2026 Road and Street Glides did. So the slam bagger look has been out now. It's been out of style, I guess, if you will, for a while. And that's kind of what Indian is still, portraying. The slam bagger look, which is cool. Again, I think it looks good, but it just doesn't do it a lot of favors as far as keeping fresh and innovative. I don't know. Collectively, I just don't know if Indian nor Harley have an innovative bone left in them, right? From both reveals, I was very underwhelmed. But again, January is coming, so I want to be totally fair there. I just thought a fresh redesign of the baggers, again, would be incredible. Keep the Power Plus. Power Plus is awesome. You don't necessarily have to upgrade that. You're going to want to in the next year or two, I would think. But it's still a great platform. Overall, the aesthetics are just falling way too far behind, and there's no changes with that bike. The Springfield, right? The Springfield Classic. I don't know how many of these bikes are selling. To me, though, I guess, for people that really like that nostalgia, sure. But the difference between, and I guess what they're going for is like Road King and Road King Special, right? Where one is vastly more updated and modern looking, but in my opinion, the difference between the Springfield Dark Horse and the Springfield Classic is like just night and day. Like there's nothing close there. Those big fenders, and I don't know, man. I just feel like if they release some performance version of that bike, maybe that would be a big hit. Maybe a dual sport, a Street Fighter, a Bronx type of motorcycle from Indian. Talked about this, I feel like, now for years, and I guess it has been years. They're tied enough to tradition where they have to carry on some things, but let's just be honest. You don't have a continuous run like Harley Davidson, so they're not tied as closely to tradition. They can explore different options and still keep their core audience happy. I feel like they're probably in a better position to do that than Harley. Harley's really got to be careful with every single move and cut and change they make, especially to their fairing designs and to the engine and the look of that and all, so they really got to be careful. Indian has, I feel like, a little bit more room. They're now being sold to a private equity firm, right? So this gives Polaris a chance to do their thing, right? They obviously, they'll keep a small stake, I guess, in the company, and that won't be done until Q1 of 2026. But there's just a lot of different directions, and we get a new Scout, which admittedly is the most popular bike that Indian does. But does that mean that you just kind of sit on it and say, hey, got another Scout? Another thing that they could do is drop the prices. I kind of expected this. I don't see this on their website at all. Looks like pretty much everything is stayed about the same. So it hasn't gone up, which is a good thing. It hasn't gone down either, which again, they're kind of dealing with the same issues too, right? You want to get people in there. I always look to Honda just because I like their selection of motorcycles. I think what they do is pretty awesome. And all over, like under 10 grand, I think they have, I don't know, 5 motorcycles you can get, some of which are not like just, the Grom, right, which is a cool motorcycle, but others are, the Shadow, the Rebel 1100. I mean, like, good-looking motorcycles for under 10 grand. I feel like Indian could have done this as well and got people into the dealerships, which is kind of where you need them in order to keep the operations going. And look, I don't really hate Indian Motorcycle, but I hate the decision that they made in 2025 and 2026. I guess I get it now more in 2025 since Polaris was kind of looking to close that chapter, right? But 2026, like, to me, there's like no excuse unless this private equity firm is like, hey, we don't know what to expect here. Let's just kind of play it safe. But that's not something you do with a company, in my opinion anyways. That's not something you do with a company that has as much of a tumultuous past as Indian has had, right? You really got to innovate, and you really got to start stepping up when it comes to that, because otherwise people are going to be like, what is the value? What am I getting that's truly innovative? Or can I just go like a year or two older and save myself a ton of money? I just don't think they did that, and they could have really delivered a knockout punch, or at least just start to escape out of the shadow of Harley Davidson. Seems like they're comfortable being there maybe for another year. I guess we'll find out more in January. There you go. There's my opinion. I'd love to hear yours. Let me know what you think down below. If you like what I do, consider subscribing. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.